Guys, how you doing? It's Joe here at Iron Health, here with Steve Swistak. We're going through some assessment, some movements, and work on him today. Before we get into that, Steve's going to introduce himself a little bit, and then we'll get into it.
How's it going? I'm Steve Swistak. Background is Olympic weightlifting for about 30 years, which got me into CrossFit at a later age. I feel like the success I've had in CrossFit is because of all that technical work and movement stability that I learned when I was younger. It's allowed me to be really successful as a masters athlete in the CrossFit world. I coach a lot of kids, youth athletes, and a lot of the premise there is technique, movement, sound movements. It's less about what they lift overhead. It's just how they move so they can progress not only in weightlifting, but whatever sport they're looking to move forward with.
So you're getting ready for the games this year or no?
I am not. I'm 37th in the world, so great question. I three-time games athlete, 16, 17, 18. Decided to take it a little bit easier this past training season, prioritize with coaching, my day job, which is financial services. So I knew going in I wasn't in the best shape of my life. Did I want to go and get to the games another time? Yes, but I'll take 37th in the world any day of the week. So we'll try to go after it again in 2020.
Nice. All right, let's take through a full assessment. What shoulder was that?
Left shoulder.
Left shoulder surgery was when?
A year and a half ago, October.
And it's been like you're snatching and stuff?
When did it bother me?
Are you snatching now?
I am, absolutely.
That's fine.
Everything overhead feels better than it ever has.
Awesome.
Prior to surgery.
Let's bring your feet together.
Okay.
Look up as high as you can go. Good. Rotate head right. Bring this arm behind your back. Go back. Go back up. Let's try again.
Woo, it's a little tight.
Yeah, let's see this one. Always tight though. I feel like you've always been tight.
I haven't.
Bring this up above your head. So bend your elbow. Okay. Looking at the scapula, seeing what that's doing. Touch my hand. Looking at the other shoulder, does it shrug? It does. Touch your toes slowly, keep your knees straight. Back. Does that hurt you?
No.
Okay. So what side of your back is it?
It's really more center like.
Let me see again. Just slowly go down. You get like no curve there. This is like a straight back. It's actually really interesting. Come up slowly. Okay. Let me see you side bend like this to the right. How's that? Go the other way. Okay, come back. Turn both hands like this, like to that way, and then rotate to your right. I know this used to be restricted. Let's see. Not too bad. I'm looking for like the other shoulder to come through. It's tight. It's tight. Let's go the other way. Other shoulder to come through, and look at what the spine does. Feel stiffer this way. Does that bother you?
No. I mean, it's just tight.
Like in here, or
More like through here. I've always been tight in the upper back, which is why I have that.
Yeah. Bring your feet shoulder width. Let's see if overhead squat.
Overhead squat.
Back up. Any pain in the back?
No.
What's your Olympic weightlifting history?
Started weightlifting when I was 11 years old. My parents are from Poland, so it wasn't throw a football around. It was take some weights out of the garage and start lifting things overhead.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You just had like a platform on the driveway. Just move a little forward.
You know, when we started, it was actually weights coming out of a van until we built the garage out. But my father was always a kind of technical master. Just kind of progressed from there. So he was a coach and an athlete in Europe. He coached weightlifting and wrestling. And then they moved to the U.S. Yes. It's usually going to be up in here. Nowhere.
Do you feel how much more?
This knee, though, is tender.
Okay. Cross your arms like this. Rotate to your right. Okay. So left. Stiff left. Do you feel that?
I do,
Stiff
yeah.
left? That
Absolutely.
lower back or upper?
It's kind of right in the middle.
Okay. All right. Let's lay on your back. Head of this end though. So I'm sorry. What were you saying? He's
Yeah, he was a weightlifting coach and a wrestling coach in Europe.
That's crazy. It's like what's that fighter's name? The dude who's wrestling a bear.
Oh, I don't even know.
Beat McGregor. What's his name?
Oh,
Khabib.
yeah.
Khabib wrestled the bear.
Yeah, my dad was wrestling bears. No, but from there, I just progressed through the junior ranks and became a pretty good lifter. I was never the biggest guy, but because I had some decent technique, I was able to outlift a lot of those guys who were a little bit stronger.
Nice.
Weren't you like a little like chunky when you were a kid though?
I wasn't chunky until my early 20s, late teens, when they said put on whatever kind of weight you can to get bigger. I'm a 6 foot tall white guy, played basketball in high school, was pretty good at it, but
What do you feel here?
it's tight in my groin.
It's crazy.
I decided to pursue weightlifting a little bit more seriously.
I saw an old picture of you, like super skinny weightlifter.
Yeah,
You were like very young.
I progressed through every weight class minus the super heavyweights. So, when I started, it was like a 52 kilo class, and I got all the way up to 108. So 108 kilos is 238 pounds. So I was definitely not a small guy.
Does this hip bother you?
It's not bothering me right now, but if it's a hip that bothers me, it's always this one.
Because it's definitely like this one kind of like wants to go out.
Mm-hmm.
This one smooth, controlled. You said this knee was bothering you, right?
That's correct.
So what are you looking for?
Like from right there is where you start to feel nothing to touch, just
Here up or here down?
in that area in general.
Okay. So I'm just looking for like the spinous process, seeing the alignment, seeing if there's any tenderness to palpation here. We'll do some light mobs, see if we can reproduce pain. Any pain there?
No.
Nothing there?
No pain.
Just stiffness.
Yep. I mean, it definitely, since I was a young kid, I knew I had a little bit of roundness going on. I feel like it's always affected by overhead, especially with jerks.
Gotcha. Definitely. Your whole pelvis moves here. Feel that?
I do.
See if I stabilize. So like
Is that external?
this is internal
Internal?
because we're leveraging it.
Okay.
So the femur's internally rotating.
And how much degrees should you have?
You should have like 15 degrees.
And that's like 5?
I think it's like 5. I think it's. And this is the hip from supine. So when you see stuff that's consistent back from their back to their stomach, it's usually joint related. So it's probably got some joint stiffness in here. That's tender too. And muscle. So what are you coaching now? What like you get to the girls lacrosse, right? What else?
Yeah, so started with boys lacrosse out of Briarcliff High School. We had them 2 years ago. They signed back up with us this year. In addition, we picked up the girls' high school team from Briarcliff. And I was also coaching a girls' team out of Westlake. But that's on a lacrosse front. And then I have a barbell club for youth and junior athletes, which we have 2 barbell sessions a week,
Nice.
ages 8 to 16.
What do you feel here?
It's tight, quad, and
A little stiffness. Yeah, his back is arching. So you know his hip flexor's tight. What happens if you get a kid who's really like talented, wants to pursue it further? What are you doing with them?
I mean, I've really tried to get all of them to work within the same program set. We've had 2 girls qualify for junior nationals. We have 2 other girls that did this combine liftoff online, so they'll be competing or training at the Rogue facility, Rogue HQ, which is going to be with some of the top athletes in the country.
Was that in Michigan?
I'm sorry?
Is that in Michigan?
Ohio.
So his hip moves a little better. 10 degrees, close to 15. So his other hip stopped like there. This one, a little more motion. Tender or no?
Yes.
Is it worse than this one or no?
Kind of this.
About equal?
I don't know, maybe it's yours.
Let's see. When did you work out last? What'd you do?
Worked out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Running. Burpees to a box.
Burpees to a box.
Dumbbell snatches.
What is a burpee to a box? Like you jump up and you just jump to a box?
Yeah. And, some leg raises. I was in a hotel gym. So I had to modify and improvise.
Still tender in here? You
Yep.
ever get this worked on or no?
Never.
Why? 'Cause it hurts? Let me see.
Why? I guess I feel like the more I dig into things, the more it gets sore. I don't know if that makes any sense.
You know what happens is sometimes you gain mobility, and if you don't train it efficiently,
Right.
your body's going to be like, what the hell's going on? Because it's going to revert back to patterns that you've always had.
And I definitely don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I should be doing more of it. I just,
Yeah, I mean, like your shoulders, it's more restricted than anything else. But again, you're a high-level athlete. Like you're doing snatches, I'm not going to mess around with too much. You mess around with your thoracic spine a little bit.
yeah.
Tender.
Yes.
Tender at all?
It's not bad. For me, it's mostly in this.
So you're getting the quad.
Yeah,
You get it up here?
I do.
Okay. When does it bother you?
When I put pressure on it,
Like when you like a lunge or something like that?
yeah.
See, this stuff worries me now because I had a client very similar towards quad. So like, you just got to be mindful of it, you know?
Good to know.
Like right there.
Yeah, so
that's your quad. You gonna just do single leg stuff?
have I been or should I be?
Have you been?
Yeah, so lunges on boxes.
Like single leg deadlifts at all?
I have been actually doing kind of staggered. They're called kickstand deadlifts, single leg deadlifts.
Cool.
More stability work over the last 6 months than probably any time before.
Gotcha. I'm gonna get started on this hip, right? Key is mobilize this hip, probably hip flexors, get them going. Mobilize the thoracic spine, treat his shoulders a little bit, not too much. Then we're gonna get on some correctives.
Steve,
Yes.
where do you think CrossFit's going to go in the next few years?
Well, CrossFit as the fitness fad or the games?
Games?
Yeah, I think they're really trying hard to figure out what's going to happen over the next couple of years with the games. This year has been a big shift from what they've done in the past. Where to qualify as an individual, you'd get to regionals from the open, and then that would be your main qualification system. It's changed to sanctional, so you've got, I think it's somewhere around 30 sanctionals across the country, which gives athletes a lot more opportunity to qualify. But it's just right now a challenging environment to know what's next. I think it's going to get sold off, honestly.
To Rogue?
Yeah, I don't know who. Just think, just based on the things that Greg Glassman has done over the last 6 months to a year, it looks like he's really trying hard to focus back on the health aspect of CrossFit and less about the competitive kind of game structure.
He wants to get out.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way.
Where do you think it's going as a fad now? Because I feel like people are dropping their CrossFit.
I think that he's pretty smart. across the U.S., you're not seeing as many CrossFit gyms opening up anymore, so you're kind of capped. And what you're seeing is kind of this global fad, you know. Even with the games, I mean, to have a national champion now going to the CrossFit Games shows you that he's looking to expand on affiliates around the world. And you know, if I'm a businessman, I'm looking to grow my company. That's a pretty good way to think about doing it. Yeah, so you're going to have someone from, you know, I hate to use the word Madagascar, one CrossFit gym, wins the Open in his country, and ends up going to the games. Does that mean he's the fittest? No, he'll probably get weeded out pretty early on if there's some sort of funnel system. But it looks, smells, and feels more like an Olympic type situation where you're going to have countries from all over representing.
Which is pretty nice.
Yeah, which definitely opens up,
Yeah, but
you know, CrossFit in general.
what happens with at that point though, the competition?
It gets watered down.
Yeah, it gets diluted.
I still think, you know, the best are going to come out on top.
Well, then it could be like an Olympic thing, because someone who's like the fourth
Could be in like a C session or a D session,
or
or
they may go to different countries and, you know, live
Yeah.
for them or something.
Alley. This will be your second youth national.
Oh, that's ticklish or tender?
It's kind of ticklish.
I love this one. Ticklish or tender?
Ticklish.
I'm trying to get into the hip flexor here. Let me just try to say. It's a hard one to get. Polish, don't feel pain.
Yeah, right. Just need a shot of liquor.
Shot. It's
Vodka. Yeah.
Vodka.
How do you do your diet? Do you do macros? Do you do meal prep? Like what are the...
So 3 years ago, I decided to start tracking my food. So macros has really been a big thing for me. When I recognized that competitions is that I get to day 2 and day 3 with no energy. It wasn't because of lack of training. You know, I would just look around and see what the other athletes were doing in between workouts, and they did nothing but eat. You know, re-energize with food and nutrition. I wasn't eating enough. So counting my macros just opened up the concept of, wow, I need to eat more. I understood more about carbs, proteins, fats, and what it did to my body. Hired a nutritionist pretty quickly, and I've stuck with it now for 3 years.
That's awesome. You don't find like that impedes on your life? Like what happens if you want to go out? Like,
It does, yeah. So my day job is a lot of, you take people out to lunches, but over time you kind of recognize that, hey, this is what grilled chicken is going to be, and proteins, fats, and carbs, and you have an idea of what you're putting in, and it's a guesstimate. And then I call them treat days. I'm not cheating anyone in this sense. You know, if I want to enjoy myself on a Saturday night and get sushi and have a beer, you know, I think I'm allowed to treat myself after the training and focus that we put into all this stuff. So,
it's a good way to think about it.
yeah.
Tell us your experience at the games.
Yeah, I learned a lot over the 3 years. Made some mistakes in 2016, just kind of going out too hot, not learning the pace. Super aggressive, just wanted to blow through every workout, and you learn sometimes that you've got to slow down and be smart about these things. So strategy plays a big part, and over 3 years, you just get better at it. The other thing was just camaraderie amongst the guys. A lot of us work full-time jobs and then do this kind of stuff on the side, so it's just fun to build those relationships. Friends with a lot of them today. It's cool. And they all go through the same thing we do, you know. Injuries and real life situations.
What age group is like that is their full-time job?
I mean, you're gonna get anyone up to age 35. You're still doing, is that enough of this?
Yeah. Come on.
Oh God.
I'll show you. Just two dynamic things.
What am I doing?
Come on.
Oh.
Don't arch your back to the pelvis. Lean forward. Steer your shoulders from laying it back.
way?
Left. So before you do that, lean forward to your stretch here.
Oh, this way.
And feel it.
Yep.
Slowly turn it. And you don't want the hip, you don't want the pelvis to move. So come back. Just sustain the state.
Yeah.
Slowly. That's it. That's all you got. That's it. It's a dynamic stretch and hip flexor.
Cool. What's next?
That's it.
That's it?
Concludes our session with Mr. Steve Swistak here. He's the man.
Thank you, guys. Always a
Check him
pleasure.
out. Swistak weightlifting.
Right there, baby.
Woo. 3 tips for a beginner weightlifting.
The key is we're going to work on a lot of techniques. So sound movement, that's going to be tip number 1, right? Solid foundation of movement. 2 is patience. It's going to take time. The cues I give are thousands and thousands and thousands of reps before this stuff becomes natural. And then 3, trust the process, right? Trust the coach that you work with because they've been doing it for a lot longer than you and really believe in what they're telling you. And those are really the 3 tips that I'd run with. And if you do that, I think you'll be a really successful lifter.